9, swag, surf.
Nah, you tough, bro. You tough, bro. You tough.
I just make music, then I stream again. Run up 40 on these niggas, go say why you leaving me? New Balenci jacket, and the inside is beaver skin. Let them do that talking, I can't never fucking beef with them. Hate a regular bitch, I swear to God, I cannot be with them. Colors in my drill, I get no partners, ain't no fuck this shit. I ain't never had no problem bagging bitch. Take a razor so I get a bitch to dick, now she an activist. I ain't really never sip no activist. Made a mill off streaming, all my brothers used to laugh at it. Said I never smoked, then I made Fago pop, so get too mad at me. Give me 40 in the beat, I turn it to a masterpiece. She said, what you do, I'm doing everything, I'm masterpiece. I put diamonds in my pretties, getting numb, it's lacking heat. Brody ignorant, cause it women don't embarrass me. She's like, show up on the gallery, I don't even care to see. I only push you from the back, she better not punch on me. Bitch, I'm locked up in the studio, I punch myself to sleep. Asking what's the smell, I told me bitch is broccoli. Told her I got 5 of hers and not a bit, not fond of me. I don't need sleep, I just make music, then I stream again. Run up 40 on these niggas, go say why you leaving me? New Balenci jacket, they the inside is beaver skin. Let them do that talking, I can't never fucking beef with them. Hate a regular bitch, I swear to God I cannot be with them. Colors in my drill, like my problems ain't no fuck this shit. I ain't never had no problem bagging bitch. Take a razor so I give this bitch the dick, now she an activist.
Bro, he need to drop this song. This song is too crazy, bro. This song is too crazy.
Stand on the road, got me pissed off, yeah. Stand on the road, got me pissed off. Pouring up food, got me pissed off, no. Dropping 30 bands up in Soho. I don't play around with the pussy, oh no. She like go out bands, we can figure out some. I don't pump fake, I still make money jump. Ice my pink till I make it numb. Play my song and make the crowd go dumb. I got hella bitches ready to suck some. Go pump fake, I still make money jump. Ice my pink till I make it numb. Stand on the road, got me pissed off, yeah. Stand on the road, got me pissed off. Pouring up food, got me pissed off, no. Dropping 30 bands up in Soho. I don't play around with the pussy, oh no. She like go out bands, we can figure out some. I don't pump fake, I still make money jump. I ain't my pink till I make it numb. Play my song and make the crowd go down. I got hella bitches ready to suck some. Go on my stick, I got them.
I'm perfect, I still ain't drunk. I haven't ended up in Soho. I want the Reggie, but I don't care for fame. I want the Reggie. Oh my goodness, bro.
I be having their ass no diddy. I might just pop their ass off shitty. I be in the rack for good, not a long time. Thinking Brett Fizzy saying he out mine. Couldn't care less about the bitch. They gave me a pile of shit. Go to tone on my wrist. Money in the bank, gotta catch big fish. Blowing big pills and bills off script. I ain't died yet, so I gotta get rich. See, I'm getting money, trying to make me his bitch. High speed chase out that bitch down fifth. Hit the corner too fast, now I'm back on fourth. I be having my way, but I wanted some more. I been fucking shit up, I'm protected. You call my phone, I'm outside, leave a message, I don't care about you. Got a whole downtown that'll slur me like so. Why I had one hoe when I can have a whole crew? I'm a dog ass bitch, right? Be telling the truth. Got a trick in AZ that'll buy me the moon. Got a hoe in the rack trying to send me some blues and a scrub in MC trying to pay for my news. They be throwing me off with that look. They tell me to stop, but I can't. It's a must. I could put in the past, but I still won't trust. I'm moving my crowd from the back to the front. I know spray weed don't smell like runs. I'm big dog, give a fuck by the bitch if I ever go broke. I'm scared. I gotta get rich. I'm getting that bad when I post me a pic. I weigh 110, but I'm stepping on shit. I don't care about you. My little bro too, he gon' shoot.
Wait, this song is crazy.
I think
I'm not the truth. Spell the myth. Spell the myth. Spell the myth. Spell the. Which one you working? All the faking ain't doing no good. Could tell that your real life hurting. He said his pussy is up, but he's not sitting in the car. Gun in my boot, I'm an outlaw. Go. Your bitch is a man. The bitch is a man.
Your bitch is back.
Get in the whip, bitch. Get in the whip, bitch. Get in the whip, bitch. I study rap, bitches, they tell me exactly what not to do. Can't stand on that block with you. You gotta know that I don't rock with you. I got a little top from dude, then block the dude, then swap the coupe out. I dropped the room. Overnight riches, I pop down. Bitches talk down, but won't pop out. Disney online and they cop out. Rockin' some rate that you can't find. Back in the bank line, I gotta make me a whip dog. Bitches on dick thinking that they could fuck with me. I think it's time for some whip draws. Your bitch is a mag.
The bitch is a mad. The bitch is bad.
Get in the whip, bitch.
Get in the whip, bitch.
Get in the whip.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that bitch, I'm ready to trick. The niggas ain't standing on shit. I'm always studying like a lick. No choice, we came in our bricks. Come from a low income, I got a green thumb, I'm counting on digits. I fuck up a sack on titties. My bitch got face like Biggie. I never put a bank last, bitch, my name not E. I'm in Azalea. Should we done everything on the cellular? You bitches be these failures. You niggas still living in 2016 and getting that paper by any I mean. I'm trying to raise all of you. Stupid. I know it.
You know it.
It's a follow with an underscore. Figure it out.
I'm not the two. Spell the mix, spell the mix, spell the mix, spell the.
Which one you working? Oh, that's a still 3K.
Take action with Rogaine, the #1 dermatologist.
I need to just take time out and listen to all
Keep your head in the game.
all Trap Day songs, bro.
Yeah.
Red Dirt, baby, I can't go back to broke.
This drink old same age as the Pope. Open my eyes and I'm pulling it close. Walk in the store and I look for a leader. Granny just called, told I'm going on tour. Keep me in your prayers while I turn up these pit bitch still like tuna help. My pop look like Idris Elba. Choosing my duty, I met her in Louis. She come through and chill me, don't go to the movies. Cracking a chillin', I don't need no bargain. This codeine so right, you can serve it with sushi. So right in these seats, 12.
I ain't even do that.
But it's a pint, so I pass it to Tucci. In a big body with 12 lighters, 3 pints, 6 coochies. Damn, boss me, it's time, baby. That nigga broke out of line, baby. I got money like your pastor, shawty. Spend this shit all the time, baby. She trapping as fuck, but she look like a kid. Like a kid, don't got when you believe in you either. Bitch, my meet and greet, but it's quite nice to meet you. Petty as hell, trying to kick me.
Well, coming from dirt, all I can afford to do is dream. Never would I think I'd grow as a man. Spending 500K catching codeine. Never could I imagine switching my tone. Never did giving and buy me some tricks. 23 Maybach, take me as my bitch. Bring that side with the rose deep dish. She pretty, I kiss. My life is a bliss. Send her home quick, no bullet I miss. She think it's my loss, I let her just think it. Ryder got 10 liquor bottles of show. She put her hoes, the cream never drank it. Blown on my phone, I can't ever link it. Julia put all of these stones and rocks on her boat. Floating this water on water, but he'll never sink it. Your chain is a trinket. Got 10 different whips like a red state local. Popping her X, fucking a bugaboo, hot in my face behind clip out focus. Don't be
be offended. After my feet when I finally respond and I give you the tip. All who inspires me, most became vocal. Just me and boy with some hoes up in Soto. Beating EV, shooting Ebu, anywhere, everywhere, just like a dojo. I don't take pictures, my shut off. I'm not Boris Kocho. I take a thought and I turn out by coastal. If I'm not hosting no fights to the postal. Baby, what you do not know when I hurt you. This off yourself when you're around the business. It don't concern you.
What shit is my turn to? We gave you stress, so remember who taught you. First round, I'm a fuck
Going no walkthrough.
You get the liquor, shit easy to talk to. Know that shit choosing on me, can I fault you?
Took that shit back to the spot and I hit it.
Place a slow jab.
So we turn up the twister.
I like you both, so just come with your sister. I'm ready to
Blitz them, it's lit like a missile.
carrots like crystals, I ride with my pistol.
It's up to the end.
Want me to trim, I die ready to spin. Hey, ho, stuffed in the truck in the rat. We was gunning to win. They ready to sin. I pray for this life, so I gotta go win. Now it's my time.
You're not betting all they ready.
What's in your mind, shit?
Nothing but fitty. Ready to forget it.
I'm on their head, finna cut it, kill bills. I'm in my rank, I'm the king of the hills. Also creep, baby, it's me and two trill. Niggas be fake, they allergic to real. I'm stepping shit kill, I know how to play. You know them two words, so gone on instead. Slow that shit down, baby, I'm tryna hit.
Man.
Yeah.
For my baby and for me. Creep, all of my riches don't make for my mama. I used to window shop at Ragorama. Used to wait tables, now they wait for me. 45,000 I fixed on my teeth. I used to look at rich folks on TV, daydreaming that could be me. Now I'm all on my way. Just didn't think it'd be fast as today. Overnight shawty, my bestie don't play. Black as the TV, turn off I can say. Nigga, Negro, whatever, don't bother me. You could be rich if you wanted psychology. My bitches don't judge niggas astrology. Young bitch, I'm here to boost up the economy. I won't ride on the back of Ducatis, but I ride passenger on a Bugatti. I go Abu Dhabi. This bitch is my hobby. We rich in the lobby. I'm concrete, spine, some creep to the death. Folks asking me if I'm black.
Dumb bitch, I'm the same as the rest.
Sure, all these birds could stay at the nest. I'm in a hurry, I gotta get rest. Bitch, I've been up for 3 days, no sleep. Geeking off, you got a blick in the seas. Don't sing like the woman married to Jay-Z. 3 hours in the brew, don't you ever forget it. I used to ride around town in the Civic. I delete all those niggas that hit it. I'm a rich bitch, so I delete the past. In the backseat, mixing gravel with gas. Miss not the two going bad on their ass. I don't have class, I'm ready to spaz.
This time make it sweet. A slow jam for my baby and for me.
His name is Kevin Armani Wayne Durant. I used to window shop at Ragorama. Oh! Somebody get that boy a map. Stupid ass. Nah, you tough, bro. You tough, bro. You tough. Oh. God damn it.
And slowly and surely, they're going to start to put these pieces around to become a contender again. Now here's Barrett. In the game against Miami, very impressive. Out of bounds.
Stupid ass, boy. Ugly ass kid.
Let's see how things are shaping up in the East. You take a look at the Raptors. They'd be watching from home if the playoffs started today. They're hoping to make a final push. You know, for the Raptors, it's really been an intriguing year for them. I mean, they work hard, they play great.
Oh, my fault, Gangaroni. My fault.
I just think if you're on the other side, how much are you looking at that team and saying, we're scared of them? So not a lot of fear from the opposition and what they're bringing to the table. They're good, they compete, but do they have that extra gear? I'm not sure. And timeout called by Darko Rajakovic.
I'm stuck on Band-Aid brand cause Band-Aid stuck on me.
Face
Now I started singing up. Now I'm trying to sing out. Now I'm singing out. That's now. How the hell did you do that? Damn. I got energy. I got dust now. How I go beside now? What's up now? my diamonds in when the lights out.
If I can't get her with my back and I'ma bring my knife out. Mama happy I got her a nice house. All these bitches asking for Chanel.
Tell me for the money I
can tell they was going well, they can never fail.
Want me for the money I can tell
They was going well, they should never fail.
And my ex keep calling me bitch, I'm good, I'm getting well.
I'm sucking bitch in the back.
Every bounce in that block, I be knocking these bullets, just making them shake like shot. I'm in no black with this shit on my hip. If we make the wrong move, then we make them a pack. And we went from rags for riches.
We went from riches to rags. Yeah, I'm from riches to rags.
And I feel like I hate, but I keep pedaling back. I be too good for this media shit, but there's so many niggas I wish I could tag. And all of my ops is broke. Don't wanna beef, you can show me a ride.
5-star, yeah, we chillin' out of Tuff. Bitch fronts, I ain't tryna fucking no more. Had to cut the hoe off, she always do the most. Diamonds all my hoe, and she said she way too cold.
I'm hoping too.
No whip and that bitch got photos. No whip and that bitch got photos. No whip and that bitch got photos. Yeah, no whip and that bitch got photos.
Shit, Brody more like McQueen. He make a movie, I swear it's no Pixar. Free thunder, I know he gon' squeeze. Brody the piece of the puzzle like Jigsaw. Yes, finger the trigger like guitars. He got no motion, he more like Patrick Star. Word on my mother, they told me to chill, but I ain't get the memo. Nah, I ain't get the memo. Better she with me, she rapping the dental. I take a perky to better my mental. Came with some buddies, so fuck
They love.
like that. 613 high frontal. I keep it like my motherfucking dress do. Hold on, Louis the devil. Chain swinging like that.
5-star, yeah, we chillin' at the top floor. Bitch fronts, I ain't tryna fucking no more. Had to cut the hoe off, she always do the most. Diamonds on my hoe, and she said she way too cold. No whip and that bitch got photos. No whip and that bitch got photos.
The fuck just happened?
No whip and that bitch got photos. Yeah, no whip and that bitch got photos.
I don't buy much, I buy land, bro. Cologne, Germany. 4 McDonald's every time I land, bro. Big J-Rocks in both hands, bro, and all that. And I'm best dressed moving forward, yeah. Tiny Task on, yeah, all that. Compton Cowboy, all that.
All that.
Yeah.
And all that.
Big protein. 150 grams of protein. Y'all gotta stop playing, bro. I swear, bro.
We gon' fuck up the word, excuse me, but is that your girl? If she tell, that's a good referral. He talk crazy to me, but Kendrick know I like the regular girls. I'm not good with the regular girls. Damn near want a veteran girl. I just might change your life. We ain't wearing no Giuseppe jeans. We ain't doing none of normal things. Do you know what formal means? Critics saying that I lost the plot. Principles, yeah, I'd rather not. Messy, about to come in hot.
We
gon' fuck up the world, excuse me, but is that your girl?
Didn't mean to possess your girl. Baby, I'm high profile. Don't ever tell them you met me, girl. They gon' think that you read me, girl.
5'7", I'm messy, girl.
I'ma pass you the name on. He got time for your bestie, girl. Niggas know that I'm best dressed.
My profile access.
I ain't even got a fact check. All I'm wearing is Wells Fargo. I'm feeling good, I might wear no condom. Matter of fact, let's stay platonic.
I just think that ironic. You can pick the bunk or bed. Either way, I'ma want some head. Messy lived through me instead. We grew up around trifling hoes. You ain't did nothing, I don't know. It's cool, baby. I'm too high pro. I'm baby Kim. I wouldn't call it close. Messy, get them girls off the stage, cause somebody's gonna get taken, somebody's gonna invade on a one-on-one conversation. I'm ducked off from the world, I'm immersed in the PlayStation, and I ain't worried about her, it's 1,000 hers out waiting.
We gon' fuck up the world, excuse me, but is that your girl? Didn't mean to possess your girl. Baby, I'm high profile, don't ever tell them you met me, girl. They gon' think that you read me, girl. 5'7", I'm messy, girl.
Famous, but I'm not for sale. Why you trying to possess me, girl?
I mean, you know what upset me, girl.
Was like that when you met me,
girl. Cause he'll put you in princess shoes. Elevate you, respect you too. Here's 10K, I'm in a sexy mood. Don't let the homies touch you, move. Yeah, niggas know that I'm best. Dressed with marquee when I board chest, they start deep. When I'm big fish, eat caviar when I'm deep. Press, take selfies, I'm in Czech Republic. Cornell, he go check the budget. Part 2 million from my cousins. Never gave it back cause it's nothing. Fuck it. Yeah, new devotions. Keep it focused, starship. Is that a foreign? She's organic, skin is glowing, my heart is going. Like, wow. Split personality, 2 phones, 2 emotions. Like, wow. Hurry, get the notion. It's not hard to notice. Yeah. That's a deep ocean.
That's why.
Shorty say she celibate, I'ma keep hoping.
She's not.
Shorty say she loving me, I'ma be open. I'll try. Messy, get them girls off the stage, cause somebody's gonna get taken, somebody's gonna.
His name is Devin Armani Wayne Booker, bro.
I'm ducked off from the world, I'm immersed in the PlayStation, and I ain't worried about her. It's 1,000 hers out waiting. The nigga used to press me on the kill kind of bus.
Damn.
That's why I'm pairing me now, cause niggas weird and really bum. Okay.
Hey now, say now, I'm all about them bands. Shit right now, but you wouldn't understand.
Hey now, say now, I'm all about my guap. 8-3 good cheap.
This is not on my watch. Man, Brody saying he gonna press the issue. I need a tissue.
Oh my God, I'm really that guy.
Yeah, pumping outside.
Everybody pumping on the finger in the fry. 1 ticket, 2 ticket, 3 ticket, 4 million. Put that little Maybach truck in the garage.
Little baby hop out. You see me at the pop out. Pandemonium screaming like they brought Pac out.
Stop it with the chit chat. We airing out the kickback. Big stud energy, the way I get my lick back. Hey now, say now, I'm all about them bands.
Shit I'm on, but you wouldn't understand.
I'm a suspect, baby, I'm a quick victim. I got a nigga feeling just to eat victim. What's that coach here? I paid like it was 8 figures. Why I don't fuck with them guys? Cause I hate niggas. Oh my God, I'm really that guy. I got my Chuck Taylors on,
but they look like loafers.
I'm sitting with you niggas.
What, I look like Oprah?
Put them in a grave, niggas look like chauffeurs. Open doors for my niggas, bitch, I look like chauffeur. With the rulers, keep it sewer. Stack the glue on your pants, eat the cooler. Oh my God, I'm really that. Man, turn this shit the fuck up.
I was up in high chest and dodging all the high beams.
Bartenders swap me, shopping bogus ice cream. I'm a hot damn baby, shit is not warm, baby. 4 or 5 main bitches, I am not yours, baby. All these women is a habit. Boyfriends mad cause they thought I was a hey now. Hey now, say now, get sticky like a hun bun. You will never be the main guy, you're a +1. 300K in 4 days, cornucopia, 12 days gold. I ain't even dropped a lunch one. Sold 1 million tickets first day for that new stage.
Bing.
Want smoke, we can puff one. 1 with 2 with black bitch, blue strips, green face grits. Time on is Dr. Seuss shit, true shit. I can put a number where your roof is. Paranoid cause niggas beef curtains, they got loose lips. Oh my God, I'm really that guy. Hand claps, congrats, never said to me. Put him on a pro cause that nigga dead to me. Stop with that fake shit, stop with that fake shit, stop with that fake shit, just stop with that fake shit. The floor got me fitted in my best. If you got a problem with me, nigga, get it off your chest, nigga. What? Get it off your chest. Get it off your chest. Nigga, get it off your chest. I'm the type that
Wait.
I don't it's a bird.
He said I'm the type to bust on and just lick it off her chest.
I come get it. You don't love me. You love
the optics that come with it. Freaky ass. Freaky ass. $24. 2025 music. 2025 music. 2025. 2025 music. 2025. 2025 music. Music 2025. Music at 2025. I'll drop music in 2025. 2025 music. Music 2025. I'll drop music in 2025. I mean, yeah, I fucked a bit, but I'm my friend though. What's the problem? I fucked a bit, but that's my friend though. You know? Yeah, I pull up in a beam and I know Ben's hoe. The freak bet acting like an angel. Once he trying to take a trip out there, can't go. I mean, yeah, I'm with the bros and we stay different. I mean, 100 racks a day, man, this ain't fair. Yeah, for the hoe and I had pink hair. Whip for my hoe and they got pink chairs. I mean, like, you know what I'm saying? You know, when I'm in the 6, I drop 80 like I'm Kobe, you know? But I don't walk through metal detectors because I'm always walking chrome. If I ever bit, only number that I know, I'm gonna rock the 5 until I die, but flaws on my toe. They hate to see me rich, but they low when I was po. Balenciaga dripper fucked around and bought the stove. I mean, when I'm out of town, I be tripping, I be on. How you taking pictures in that lamb you don't own one? Chains on my face, I don't give a fuck, this is the chrome one. Everybody say, I'm here, I got the phone once. Oh my god, you really that guy. Stupid ass bitch, think you really that fly. Bro, what am I doing? What am I even doing? Like, it's dry out here, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what the hell? Like, shit ain't even
and get these things done. Greg started in the middle and figured it out and got something that looked like a rose? Probably. But I can't do it all and make it right and get to my end goal without starting at step 1 and having a vision, thanks to Lego, on how to get it finished. That's the problem with the Phoenix Suns right now. You can blame the front office. You can blame the coaching staff. You can blame ownership. And you can blame the players. And you'd be right in any of those. Because nobody's coming out unscathed from a season like this with the Phoenix Suns. It's been disappointing from every level. And there's no doubt about that. But before you fire the coach, before you run the owner out of town, and before you start trading star players, maybe it's time to take a long, hard look at the front office that's made the decisions and find somebody point blank that has a vision for the present and a vision for the future and how to win in bold, and follow that plan and get them installed at the beginning of the offseason before you make any decision. So that individual can evaluate the entire organization from top to bottom and decide what needs to change to make that vision happen. Brian Windhorst had this to say on ESPN about the Suns not too long ago.
This is what people in the league say about the Suns. They are excellent at talent acquisition. They are not good at team building. And that's what's happened here.
That's a great take.
They have been excellent at talent acquisition. Look at the roster. If you were playing fantasy basketball, you'd probably win your league with this group. If you're putting together a team based purely on stats and not on what happens in a locker room or what happens chemistry-wise on a court, you'd have a winning mix here. But the problem is, when you look at it overall, you do not have that winning mix right now because of some of the things that have happened. And it starts with James Jones. You can blame Matt Ishbia if you'd like. He's not without fault, and he certainly has been part of what has led them down the path that they're at. But it's not just him. Some of these issues have been here much longer than just since Matt Ishbia showed up. Not valuing the draft, issues inside the locker room between coaches and players, missed trade opportunities. These have been hallmarks of the Phoenix Suns for a very long time. Don't take my word for it. Go back and look at an ESPN article from a handful of years ago, before Matt Ishbia was part of the organization, and read what James Jones actually thinks about the draft. James Jones views the draft the way I view salads. Stay away from them at all costs, because the value of eating it or the value of drafting it isn't worth the time spent on it. according to this article, the Phoenix Suns had 14 people in basketball operations. That's it. James Jones liked to run it that way. Even though when you looked at OKC, one of the teams that everybody holds up as the bastion of what a front office should be, they have 14 people in their scouting department alone, not just in their basketball operations. James Jones even told a scout at the time, I don't want to read the 200 reports.
Why are the Lakers so bad in the
I'm
game,
not
bro?
going to. Like, they did not value scouting. They wanted guys to stay around the team rather than go evaluate draft talent because they did not feel the importance of said draft talent. They even admitted, and that was James Jones specifically, that if he had been in charge, they likely wouldn't have taken Devin Booker. They probably wouldn't have taken Giannis Antetokounmpo, and he said they wouldn't in the future either, because they want to win now, not win in the future. That they don't want to foster these young guys. They want to find proven talent. Sound familiar? That was before Matt Ishbia ever stepped to a mic or ever wrote a check to the NBA. That's James Jones's philosophy. You want to talk about trades? Everybody loves to complain about the DeAndre Ayton trade. But you got to remember that James Jones reportedly turned down offers for DA, for DeMontis Sabonis before he got traded to the Kings, and for Miles Turner. Even when his own coach, Monty Williams, was asking for him to trade for Miles Turner. James Jones decided to give DeAndre Ayton the max contract by matching the Pacers' offer, even after the disgraced former owner wasn't really willing to pay DeAndre Ayton and started drama there. Coaching problems and communication with players? Have we forgotten about Monty Williams and DeAndre Ayton not speaking for a while? These things have all been around the Phoenix Suns and aren't new. I'm not saying that James Jones isn't good at portions of his job. In fact, I'd consider moving him into a player liaison role with the team if it's something he's interested in, because he knows how to identify talent in terms of guys that are out there on the market. He's, from everything we've heard, pretty good dealing directly with players. But team building does not seem to be his strong suit. I want somebody in here that has that blueprint. A plan that's going to build this team rather than one that's kind of on the fly and trying to figure out how do you just accumulate the most talent possible. I want somebody that can evaluate every level of this franchise and build a true culture. I love what James Jones accomplished in his career. The fact that he got the nickname champ is fantastic. But he's no Pat Riley. There's not heat culture here. Some would argue there's not culture here at all right now.
At all.
And you need somebody to come in with a vision to build that. It's time to build something and not skip steps. You gotta hope the final product looks like what's on the box and not something close enough to it, because close enough isn't going to get you a win and isn't going to get you a Larry O'Brien trophy. Maybe that's just my Southwest bias. On the other side of the break, I'm going to bring in somebody that knows the NBA well and isn't going to blow smoke to Suns fans. It's Adam Mares of the All-NBA Show and, yeah, of the DNVR Nuggets Show. Time to tell you about Phoenix Raceway. I wasn't a big NASCAR fan. I'm going to admit that.
Oh, that's all.
No shame in me admitting that. Until
that.
last year I went out to Phoenix Raceway and experienced it firsthand. And itself, and getting to ride in a pace car on the track was insane. And if you want to experience the Phoenix Raceway, go out there for the Shriners Children 500 at Phoenix Raceway, March 7th through the 9th. It is going to be a good time as 40 drivers compete against the likes of Chase Elliott, Denny Hamlin, Bubba Wallace, and the 2024 NASCAR Cup Series champion Joey Logano. It's the best-in-class fan experience for the whole family. Get your tickets now at PhoenixRaceway.com. you've seen those white cars out there, the Jaguars, driving around with the cameras on the side, and you probably wondered, okay, I've heard about Waymo, but what is it really about? If you have not ridden in a Waymo, I highly, highly recommend it. It is a completely autonomous vehicle that is one of the safest experiences I've had, and I love Waymo, right? I don't get to drive in a Jaguar very often, but when I do, it's because of Waymo. You get in, it's you. It's not a ride share. You don't have to share it with some rando you don't know. You get to get in there, you get to put on your music, you get to enjoy a ride, and take care of whatever you need to. You want to read a book, you want to just... For 150,000 trips per week across San Francisco, Los Angeles, and Phoenix is what they do. Waymo's the first company to serve a fully autonomous ride with no human behind the wheel, and they've been doing it since 2015. Waymo has over 40 million miles of real-world driving experience, which could take you from here to the moon if you had a freeway between here and the moon. So download the Waymo One app today and ride today. You won't regret it. So before the break, I promised you that I'd bring in an unbiased person to talk about the Phoenix Suns. Well, slightly biased, but not on our side of the fence. It's Adam Mares, the host of the All-NBA podcast and the DNVR Nuggets podcast as well. How are you, man?
I'm doing good. You know, I am two people. I am my biased Nugget self, and then I'm my unbiased All-NBA self. I try to, tap into which whenever I need. So which one do you want today? I can freak either one to you.
I'd appreciate if you vacillate back and forth. I think that's the way that this will go best. Look, I'm just going to lay it out there. This is no secret. This has been a terrible Sun season. It's been a terrible 2 Sun seasons if we really want to get down to it. And it pains me to admit that to you because, we know about the Suns-Nuggets rivalry that once was. But what I want to know, I need your perspective on this. What do you do if you're the Phoenix Suns? If you are handed the keys to the kingdom, what are you doing here?
Well, again, this feels sort of generic, almost like a platitude, but when Ishbia came in, he did what many owners have done before him, which was saw an opportunity to really make a splash and to go all in. And I think one of the lessons a lot of these new owners learn when they go through this process is that there's a piece to this that underlies everything else, in my opinion, and that is culture. Company culture and its organizational culture. And the players he brought in were great. But when you brought in Bradley Beal, especially as that third piece, you say, okay, naturally it's tough for 3 guys who play basketball in their hands to work it out. So then you almost rely on the chemistry, the culture, the direction, this unified vision. And they clearly didn't have that, and those players don't naturally fall into that, they'll just figure it out on the court category. So for me, I do look at that team, and I don't have hope that this is a move the pieces around and add role players around it. I think it's expired. We've seen things expire with Kevin Durant before. So for me, I would start to look to recoup assets and try to start over, not just say, hey, let's trade KD and get somebody else in that spot. I think you would try to have a long-term plan, but you want to bring in people who can establish an identity and a culture. Who are the Phoenix Suns? What is it we are trying to accomplish? What are our core values? And let's build a team around those values.
Should
and
pass it to the
unfortunately,
corner.
that's a long-term plan, but I think long-term planning is probably the stage they have to enter.
Well, for me, and I brought this up earlier in the show, I think that starts with hiring a head of basketball operations that comes in with that kind of plan and has that vision because, James Jones helped get them to the finals. He's been here since 2017 in one capacity or another.
Oh my God, I
at
missed
some
that.
point there's an expiration date on that. And really, there's no culture at this point, just like when he had arrived. And one could argue that CP3 brought a lot of the culture in that finals run. So to me, I feel like that's the logical starting point before you do anything else.
Well, I think you want somebody that's, if you're going to make a long-term plan, you want to bring in somebody that can execute a long-term plan. So if it is going to be James Jones, then okay, he's been there, but now you're saying we're shifting gears. These are the things that are important to us. But I'm with you that I think more often than not, when you're coming out of an era that was a peak and then is on the downside, I think you come into the next era and you think, all right, fresh eyes. Let's have a fresh vision, a fresh perspective on this team. And also, when a guy is a guy that brought in a lot of the pieces here, sometimes it could cloud their vision for getting rid of those pieces. One of the things that the Suns did that I think was unfairly criticized was they used up all their assets to acquire these big players. But the truth is, Kevin Durant would fetch you assets. Devin Booker, as painful as that might be, would fetch you a lot of assets. There's a way to tear this team down early, not too late. You could argue it's already maybe a little late, but I don't think it's too late. That you could break it down in a way where it's like, okay, we are able to reset in a way that shouldn't cost us 10 years or 7 years or 5 years. This can be a quick shift to where it's a new era, and let's identify our piece or pieces and go from there. So, but I agree with you that I think it makes the most sense usually when you have someone new at the helm, whether that's a new coach, a new front office, or both. In this instance, I think it's probably more a front office.
Well, when you look at the players that you could potentially move, you obviously brought up Kevin Durant and Devin Booker. Bradley Beal's difficult because of the no trade clause. Do you lean to starting with moving on from a Kevin Durant before you look at a Devin Booker and try to figure out what assets can I get back? Because there's a raging debate here in Phoenix about whether or not you actually move on from Devin Booker. And some believe you shouldn't move on from either of them. Well, where do you stand if you're looking at this going into the offseason?
To me, I think Kevin Durant,
bro, to be honest,
is
I
almost
still believe
a
in
for sure player I would move on from. I'm not sure that he's completely happy there. I know you can get mixed reports and hear different things from different people. You're more plugged into this than I am. But I also know the arc of Kevin Durant and what it's like when he's at a place for a certain amount of time. And I do think that moving him alone would get you some pieces. He's a phenomenal player still. He adds a lot of value to a lot of different teams, and so I think you can recoup back. Based on what you get in that market, that would answer the Devin Booker question, because Devin Booker's still young. He's been a great piece there, and we just saw this with the Luka trade, that it's not just about, does this move us closer or further from a championship? Sometimes you want to root for your guys. If I'm in Phoenix, I want to root for Devin Booker. I find him to be a pretty likable player. He's given the city a lot of things. He's really embraced the city. So I wouldn't move on for him just for no reason as we're hitting a reset. But if what you get back in the Devin Booker or in the Kevin Durant trade and your immediate flexibility after that tells you might be looking at a year or two long run, then I would look at that and say maybe it's not best for us to hold on to Devin Booker for the next 2 years, not going anywhere, and then move on. So I can foresee a world where you keep him and you retool. I don't think you can retool for like next year, but you retool in a way that allows you the flexibility to pivot into a new era quickly. And if you can't do that, then I do think you have to bite the bullet and look and say, hey, Devin Booker can probably double our assets if we move on from him and set us in a nice clean slate in a way that we think we can set ourselves up for success in the near future.
Now, outside of the Suns, and you can't answer finding
Damn, where will Book go if he get traded? Where will Book go? What would be a good fit for Book?
What is your view on how to build the right way in the NBA? Because that, again,
Pistons?
is another debate you're going on with Sun fans is, do you just blow it all up and try to go through the draft? Do you try to get young pieces in
Book
trades
going home
and try
to
to supplement
Detroit?
via free agency? Where do you stand on the right way to build an NBA team?
Well, I think the first thing is you have to have a cornerstone piece, and I think it's underappreciated how difficult this is. Like, if you look at the Detroit Pistons, they're in year 4 of Cade Cunningham. They've had some injury luck and this or that, but year 4 is where it's starting to click, and you don't always know. Like, even as recently as a year ago, was it certain that Cade Cunningham could be the number 1 on a championship team? I think a lot of people could say he would be the 1A or 1B, but you need somebody equal to him. This year, all of a sudden, he looks like, no, that's a cornerstone piece. That's a building block. And then from there, you start to say what works with him. You've seen a bunch of different things. How do we build a roster around him? If you are
His name is Grayson Allen.
Booker, I think you probably have enough intel about what works around Devin Booker now to successfully build around him. Although I would say, I'm being very defensive of Devin Booker here, which is kind of funny because I actually like him a lot. As much as we know what he is, I feel like the last year and a half, you expect this trajectory where you're growing into it. I feel like he's sacrificed a lot in a way where I'm almost questioning if I know how to build around him. Because the version of him from 2022, like that version to me is like, okay, that's your superstar guy. He's going to be your mainstay, and you have one perspective. The last 2 years almost clouds that a little bit. But if it's Devin Booker,
what am I
then
doing?
you just start bringing in pieces, whether it's through the draft,
like
free
7
agency,
seconds left,
or just acquiring assets. But it's like that's our cornerstone, and we're going to fit in around that player's strengths and weaknesses. If you do move on from Devin Booker and Kevin Durant, then you're hitting a full reset. To me, you almost have to do what the Utah Jazz are doing, and I know this
All right, Allie's ready to go. She's courtside. Hey, Allie.
But it's,
Thanks,
do
I'm
we
here with
have the
head coach
cornerstone
Mike
guy? And
Budenholzer.
if not,
Coach, how
you
would
can't
you
move too
characterize
early.
the intensity
It's like we have to
level in
wait
that
till we
first half?
see that clarity and see that guy come in.
It's pretty intense.
One of the
Both
worst
teams are
things a
getting
young
after
team can do, in my
defensively.
opinion,
Nothing's going to be easy.
is
So
rally behind the wrong
Hopefully
guy.
it continues in the
Like,
second
okay,
half.
all
Thanks.
of our chips are in on Brandon Ingram. We're building around him. That's our guy. And we're going to sink or swim with that. You get 5 years into it, and it's like, that was not the guy we should have invested our strategic interests in. That's the hard part about it. So right now, if it is Devin Booker, just think everything through him. How do we make Devin Booker the best version of himself and bring in a culture and establish a direction that we want? And if it's not him, you just want as many shots at it to find the guy that it will be and start going from there.
Yeah, you bring up the kind of Devin Booker kind of changing the way he plays over the last few years, and I found it interesting because the other day somebody asked him essentially, are you going to take over a game? When do you know to do that? And he said, I've kind of left that in my past, and I wonder if that's the right kind of maturation you want from a guy, or if he actually needs to tap back into that at some point and be that guy that would just literally take over a game.
I think he still can and should be that guy. I think it's really hard with Kevin Durant. This is the thing about giving – it's not that they're the same player, but they do operate in the same way. Like, they're looking to score, right? They're looking – they can shoot. They're looking to get into their shot. So he naturally had to take a step back because of that. But if you paired him – and again, I'm just going to throw out random names. Don't hold me to this. If you paired him with a Zion Williamson, right, if that was the guy that you said that's our building blocks – he gets to go back into the thing you're talking about. He should be taking over games. Zion's great, but he has the ability to get to his spots out on the perimeter late in games, and so he should go back into that mode. If you give him another guy of that caliber, another Kevin Durant type player, he's going to have to sacrifice again just naturally because you have two guys. And by the way, the Lakers are running into this, or will run into this, in my opinion, in the future. It's cute that LeBron says, hey, sometimes it's going to be him, sometimes it's me. There's not many instances of that working successfully unless the two play off of each other in a direct way. Jokic and Murray, Kobe and Shaq, that type of dynamic. Luka and LeBron don't have that. Kevin Durant and Devin Booker don't have that. Him and a guy like a Zion or a Paolo or something like that probably would. And so to me, it makes a little bit more sense. I still think Devin Booker is good enough that if he were on my team, I would want to build a team around his strengths so that he is in that position, because I think that's where he's best.
All right, put your Nuggets hat on. Are you guys taking joy in my pain? I just need to know.
You know, you're gonna ask. This is where answer is worse, and I feel it more for Philadelphia, right? Like when you're in this era, you have certain teams you hate. Lakers, everybody hates the Lakers. Philadelphia because the Embiid Jokic rivalry, and then Phoenix because they swept Denver back in 2022. So you have these little rivalries. Philadelphia, for sure, I don't take any joy in. It's actually too sad. I actually feel so bad that it's like you know, you got in a fight and you hurt the other guy so bad you actually feel bad about him. That's where I am with Philly. And weirdly, I kind of feel that way about Phoenix too. Less so, but there's a little bit of like, I just wanted to beat them in the playoffs again. I didn't want them to like completely dissolve and disintegrate and be where they are now. So I'm not as happy as you would think, Espo. That's what I would say.
I'm glad you're not. I'll have to ask your other co-hosts how they feel. But he is.
Don't ask D-Line.
He is Adam Mares. Check him out on the All NBA podcast with Tim Legler. They do a fantastic job there. And if you so choose, you can check him out on DNVR Nuggets as well. All right, before we wrap up this edition of Southwest Bias, news came down today that Diana Taurasi, after 20 seasons, is retiring from the WNBA. She's the GOAT. I don't care if you don't want to agree with me. That's your prerogative. But I think it's tough to not agree that if she is the greatest of all time when it comes to Arizona athletes. I love Larry Fitzgerald. Steve Nash did unbelievable things. Charles Barkley in a short time here was great. Shane Doan has left an impression. And let's be frank, Pat Tillman is in a different category altogether. But when you look at what Diana Taurasi was able to do, 3 championships, 2 WNBA MVP, finals MVPs, being able to go out there and change the game of women's basketball and put it on the map in Phoenix, she has done more for her sport and for the Valley than any other athlete. So I want to tip my Brandon Bills cap to you, DT, and say congratulations on an unbelievable career and an even more unbelievable impact that you had on Arizona and all the young girls that watched you play the game growing up. That's it for this edition of Southwest Bias. You can follow me on Twitter at Espo. Thank you to my guest, Adam Mares. We'll talk to you next time. Ahoy, hoy.
Shut the fuck up.
Whew. It is hot outside. Can't be because we live in Arizona. Must be all these takes flying around Suns land. Hey everybody, it's a 3 p.m. show. Would you look at that? We escaped watching some Suns basketball today, but that doesn't mean we're going to have a conversation where it all went wrong for your Phoenix Suns. Welcome into the PHNX Suns Show, of course brought to you by our friends over at Bet365. Download Bet365 app, use code PHNX365 when you sign up, and find out why, whatever the moment, it is never ordinary at Bet365. I'm Eric, Steven, Gerald, Noah behind the Mac, making all the magic happen. He is, according to himself, a big mouth guy. Whatever that means. We appreciate all of you. Brian, Optical Illusion, Boom Shakalaka, everybody in the chat. Let's just go ahead and set our like goal at a nice, even 125 for today, because, Gerald, it is going to get a little sad.
It is. We are going through today and not going to play revisionist history, but we are going to look back on the trades that have gotten the Suns to this point and try and give our opinions on where it's all gone wrong, because I don't think anyone behind this panel, in the chat, listening at home, in the Suns locker room, expected this team to be sitting out of the play-in, barring some catastrophic injuries, and as much as injuries have played a role, that hasn't been the case. So whenever something feels as bad as it does right now, it's only natural to look backward and wonder what we could have done differently.
Yeah, you can't tell the story about where they are now without thinking about how they took those steps to get here. Mm-hmm. And there's some positive, there's some negative, there's some misconstrued things. Mm-hmm. And we're here to provide some,
why don't they have Drake in 2K?
Some context to that, but also hope to hopefully clean up the discourse about everything that's transpired the last 4 years.
I'm here to crash out. That's basically it. I'm here to get really angry. Brian in chat says, Espo's still ducking the smoke. I am. Espo's
that
not
is
ducking
6 upside down. It's a not. It's that stupid.
If you missed it, Espo's taken over Southwest Bias, and today's has, I'd say, ruffled some feathers. Got the people talking. Gets the people going. Big changes he wants to see for the Phoenix Suns, including their front office. If you missed that on PHNX Sports, you can find it in your audio feed and right here on our YouTube channel. Go ahead and click that subscribe button. Watch that right after the show. Highly encouraged.
I was scratching my head while doing that, by the way.
But before we look back at the trades, let's talk about the right now. We have some sound bites to catch everybody up on, and this is one from a couple of days ago. Boogie Cousins, DeMarcus Cousins, just talking about the state of the team, and just kind of hit hard.
It's like Suns Sixers. It's just been rough. Are they the most disappointing so far this season?
Disappointing, yes. And the reason I say that is more so about the amount of money these guys are making. You know, the team that they put together with the intentions of putting this team together. It's been a complete opposite of what their plans were. You know, they haven't really found success in any season together. There's been something every year with this team. I mean, I take it back to, you know, when they were first constructed, it just wasn't a good job constructing this team. I think this is a result of it. Just because you put top names together doesn't necessarily mean it's flow.
You're just putting a collection of players together instead of making a team. Like,
no flow, no chemistry, no camaraderie really. It's just a group of great names that just don't fit together. You know, it shows.
And shit is not even a team.
Yeah, the handful of sentences at the end that rounded out from DeMarcus Cousins, I feel like it encapsulates everything. You can't just throw names on a piece of paper and throw dollar signs next to those names, all of their accolades, and just skip
important steps in the process and just get the results that are desired. As not how that works. Not in this NBA.
Well, when you have super teams that are constructed, you always in the back of your head hold space for, okay, like worst case scenario, right? Because there's always a couple of these experiments that just completely crash out. They just completely spiral to the bottom. And you don't really think it's going to be you until it is you. And if there isn't a reason, like, yeah, you can't throw names on a paper and money next to it and expect it to work, but I don't think anybody expected it to be this bad. And so when you look internally and you look at where they're at, it wasn't too much a surprise with everything that was going down to hear what Brian Windhorst had to say earlier today on the future of Kevin Durant in Phoenix.
Yes, I do believe that Kevin Durant is leaving the Suns this summer. I think that the Suns right now
Damn, where's he gonna go?
One is trying to salvage.
You're not gonna know right now. You're only gonna know when the playoffs like end.
What Kevin Durant trades they're gonna make, because their only way to begin a pivot out of this team that's been failed is to trade Kevin Durant. So really, it's going to be one of the more fascinating things in June and July, which is Kevin Durant is probably going to select his next team. That team is going to have to make a deal that's in
So
place.
tough.
And everybody's
Wherever he goes, he's still gonna be getting buckets. The fuck.
This is not surprising to hear, but it is still kind of surreal to hear it at the same time, because when we traded for Kevin Durant a few years ago, the hopes were so high of being able to build a team around KD and Devin Booker and contend for championships, and
That's
so
how it's
far
supposed
in
to
that
be.
time, they've only made it to the second round of the playoffs. They got swept last year. This year they might be missing the play-in entirely.
Might be.
It is still kind of surreal, even if you were one of the people that hated the trade at the time because you gave up the Twins and people love the Twins, and you sacrificed continuity and all this stuff, even though that team was a 500 team at the time. It's bizarre that we're at this point where, because of how much salary you have committed to certain players, because Beal is untradeable either because of his no trade clause or because of how much
I just can't make a shot with Brad, bro. What the fuck?
You're at this point where the only avenue for you to kind of reset and restructure around Devin Booker is trading Kevin Durant. And I've seen people suggest like Devin Booker should be on the table. The Suns are not going to trade Devin Booker.
Absolutely
They're
not.
just not going to do that. He's younger. He's on a longer timeline. And I think this front office knows that if you trade Devin Booker, you are basically
Resetting
slamming the door shut on
everything.
any public support that you've had to this point. So it's going to be Kevin Durant. And the fact that I think Kevin Durant knows that he was dangled now at the trade deadline makes that split easier, but it's still hard to stomach as a Suns fan when you started off in a place of hope. And when Kevin Durant has played as well as he has during his time in Phoenix too.
And Kevin Durant wasn't the one that was like, I really want to leave.
Right.
That's the thing that I think makes me the most mad, Steven. It was not a classic case of star forces his way out of certain team. It's, no, you kind of messed up. He found out that you were shopping him.
I don't need to make this shit any harder, bro,
Trade
because
doesn't
I
go
already
through,
fucking
and now you're
lost
staring
to the
down the
fucking
inevitability
Hornets,
of it
bro.
because of your own doing, not because KD decided that he was fed up and done.
Yeah, that's the part that's most like triggering or annoying about it. It feels like easily, like Kevin Durant understands the business of basketball. He basically said that to reporters whenever they've asked about transactions. He's spoken to guys needing to be professional, understanding that that's par for the course when you sign these contracts. Everybody's a puzzle piece for front offices. So why could you not have had this conversation through interviews?
Nah,
I feel
you
like
tough,
if
Brody.
found
You
out
tough.
From the team versus finding out like we all found out on social media, it would have hit him completely differently. And he probably would have avoided a scenario that you're going to be in this upcoming summer.
This is so stupid. This is all so stupid. This should not be No, I'm sorry. This should not be happening. Like, I just go back and forth between being, like, apathetic to the whole situation and throwing your hands up and saying, screw it. There's nothing we can do. But screw that, man. This is so stupid. Like, how do you have a team with Kevin Durant and Devin Booker and we end up here? Genuinely. Everything had to go wrong. You had multiple shots at building different types of teams. You had a ton of assets to play with. And we're going to talk about other trades that you made. We're going to break down the KD trade. And was that the worst move? Hint, none of us think it was the worst move. But then you have the Bradley Beal trade. Then you have the DeAndre Ayton trade. And you have everything else in between the signings.
The Bradley Beal trade. Oh my God, what the fuck did I just say?
it just feels like everything went to worst possible case scenario.
The Bradley Beal trade was by far the worst.
We should expect
They had to make
but
that
I wasn't
DeAndre Ayton
expecting
trade, I ain't gonna
I
lie.
wasn't ready for this.
He didn't want to be there.
I was watching that windy clip
That was the most
on
you can get, bro.
ESPN,
I ain't
and
gonna
I'm
lie.
watching Kevin Durant highlights in a Phoenix Suns uniform, and the conversation is that he's done. He's gone. Barely even got him for a couple years. This is so stupid, Gerald.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. It is a very Suns thing.
So dumb. It's so dumb.
Brad is so good too, bro. But it's like,
Thank you for your super chat. $10. Book and KD both play best as wings, aren't point of attack defenders or rim protectors. Neither are high
shit
volume.
is
at
just
the
a
rim
horrible
or from
fit. You
three.
got two of the same
Hard to
fucking
fill all
players,
those
bro.
holes with the few assets left over after the KD trade. I think some of those points are fair. I do think like Durant is a point of attack
They were just
defender.
star
That's what
hunting,
we
like,
want him to do. I think he had to shoulder a lot
I
of
was
that
saying,
load,
just
at least
build around
on the
KD and
wing
Book,
last
man.
season, and did a good job with it. But
That's
yeah,
all
at age
you need to
36,
do.
now you don't want him doing that. I do think he's a better secondary rim protector than you're giving him credit for in that respect. But we have been talking about the Suns and their lack of rim pressure. I think that's the bigger thing for me. And they have been taking more threes.
Yo,
Like,
I
they've
haven't
been
made a
taking more
shot with
threes
Tyus
this
Jones in
season.
like
He just
5
hasn't
years.
been making them. So I get what you're saying. I still think we saw more than enough in that second round series against Denver and the series before it, when it was basically KD and Book versus the world, that you could build a winning team around it. But yeah, there were definitely flaws in terms of some of the boxes that they check versus don't check.
That's the template that I continue to assess what's come since from that 2022 playoff run. I feel like if they paid more attention to those teams that they were going up against, how they had to respond and react to what Devin Booker and Kevin Durant were putting out in terms of film, I feel like they don't run into these same issues. Like, it doesn't seem like they were looking at those series in particular and how they were handpicking the pieces that they were going to bring in-house to go around those two. I don't feel like it was like an impossible task. And I feel like they've shouldered so much that they've given you as much margin for error in doing so as you possibly could in terms of decision makers that are building out these rosters for them. Like, that's the part that's the biggest riddle for me. Like, it's a science, it's not easy, but I feel like when you have, like I've said before, the two pieces they have at the top that complement each other in terms of their style of play, that should make the other part of that process a little easier than other teams have had it.
And do I want the Suns to be a juggernaut, the best team in the NBA, and built around Kevin Durant and Devin Booker? Yeah, that's what I want. I'm not saying that that's where they should be and that the path to get there was easy. I mean, it's incredibly hard to walk that tightrope and build a team like that in general, especially to do that and to still have other assets. But it's not about them being at their peak or at their ceiling. It's about them not hitting their floor. Because right now they're at their floor. There's absolutely no reason for this entire nonsense about Kevin Durant to be going on. But they made a mistake, and they shopped him when they shouldn't have shopped him, and it got public when it shouldn't have got public, and now we're here. We spent all of last offseason talking about how it made more sense for the front office and for KD to wait to extend. Kevin Durant saying he wants to retire with the Phoenix Suns. There are other avenues and ways to improve your team, and maybe you don't build the ultimate championship contender, but you do build a better team than what you have right now. Like, what it is right now is completely unacceptable, and we actually heard from Kevin Durant on Draymond Green's show. Gerald, do you want to give some context to the extended clip that we're about to play?
Yeah, so KD was kind of asked about turning down the Warriors trade because it was reported that the Suns dangled him. They were on the verge of sending him to Golden State in a Jimmy Butler deal, and the reporting based on that was saying that Kevin Durant was the one that turned it down, and he gave a litany of reasons why he made that decision.
Career to end in Phoenix. Man, I want my career to end on my terms. That's the only thing. Bingo. That's the only thing I'm worried about. You know what I'm saying? That's all that matters. Because I see a lot of dudes that don't get that opportunity. You know what I'm saying? So I want to keep putting in that work to, make that choice on my own. But as far as the Warriors, I just didn't think it was, and then I didn't want to move. And then as a player like me, I cost a lot. I make me going into your team
Like
is
for
gonna
real, it's
make
gonna deplete the whole
it's gonna be a
team,
whole
bro.
new era of your team when I get to your team. You know what I'm saying? So and that's a lot of work and through the season. Like I'm still of value. You know what I'm saying? Especially in my contract and just my production. That me just getting up and moving in the middle of the season, it's gonna be a big blow to any team I'm going to. You know what I'm saying? So it's like. I get why y'all want
Like
to trade
let's just
me, and
move. He
y'all looking at
did
it
that
just
so
from the
smart,
simple
bro.
fact that's
Let's
just
just
business. But
move. Let's move in the
from me
off
looking
season,
at it, I'm
bro.
just like it just don't make
Where you can get
sense
another
for
team involved. You
either
know what I'm
side right
saying?
now
Where
to
all
go
the
through
dust is
through
settled
that.
for the
You know what I'm
playoffs.
saying?
You know what
When
I'm
we
saying? We
played
got
the
more
season
people you
out,
want to
that's the
move. You know what
decision
I'm
you want to
saying?
make. In
Let's
the
go
off
to
season,
let's go
then
to a team
you
that's
figure it
still
out.
like
It's just such a
loaded.
big
You know,
change to make, and I've been
so we
through it
can do
before. I was
this.
like, damn, that's not really it.
It ain't the right move. Like to be able
And I
to
want the
move in the
experience.
middle of the
Yeah, it's
season
like,
and all that. Yeah, 26 games left. You
like
know.
if I can stop it, then why not? You know what I'm saying? But and then the narratives that's gonna come with all that. It was just like, you don't want to go you don't want to go play with Draymond no more. You don't want to, the narrative got in your way. You don't want to go back. I was like, yeah, that is annoying. I don't like it, but I can play under, like, you don't know what, like the type of shit that people say about me. I could play under the noise.
He
It's a
won. He
simple fact
won
that, like,
2
there's no
back-to-back
need.
Finals
I didn't feel
MVPs
like it
with that
was a
noise in
need
his ear,
to,
man.
make that big of a change right now. It didn't make sense to me. So I tried to. I'm glad it was, and look what y'all doing right now, Dre. Y'all looking good, Jimmy, and then you still got Camille on the way back. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't think it made sense. And then I just want to see it through. You know, when you commit to something in a season like
Damn,
that,
but
and
think
it's
about it.
like
KD could be on the Warriors right
everybody's
now. What the
still,
fuck?
nobody's like
Oh my
big
god.
injuries, like everybody's in the lineup, and like, you know what I'm saying? I'm trying to see this
I would
through
have
to
a
the
second
end and see
chance
what
to
we can
follow
really
KD
do
to the
with it. You know what I'm
Warriors,
saying?
but I
So.
didn't do it the first
And I feel
time.
like I'm committed to my coaches and teammates, and I want to see it through. So, I wanted to lock in on that.
There is a lot to break down from that, and we're going to right after our first break. Looks like KD doesn't want to be a part of our inner circle for the rest of his career, and that's sad. But even if you stop, don't spell it. Hanging out with us on a Wednesday afternoon. Haven't had one of these in about a week, so it's good to get back talking, not just after a game, but we did hear a lot in that soundbite, Steven, from KD. What was your biggest takeaway from everything that he said?
You crazy?
That's a simple question, but because there's so much to take away from that, I've been kind of stuck for the last minute and a half, 2 minutes. Probably the understanding of power and understanding that he's always like a hot commodity for every team to check in on, and using his power to put off any potential deals that might have involved him for the sake of the mental. Like, you saw some people in the chat talking about just hoop. It's not when you change their locations. Like, yes, he's multi-millionaire, all of these things. When you change their locations, it's a little hard to focus on just basketball when you're uprooting your entire life and whatnot. It's the same conversations people were having about Bradley Beal from the side that were thinking about the human element versus the people that were saying, just tell your family to move, you got all this money. Like, it doesn't work like that. So I thought that was a very insightful perspective because you don't usually get that from athletes, especially from general discourse. I think that was revealing of KD.
Yeah, I feel like I appreciate the fact that he touched on, like, I wanted to see this through as well, in addition to I don't want to go to a team that I just gutted with my arrival because I have value. Like, the awareness of that is awesome.
What the fuck just
the
happened?
fact that he still, like, I see people in the chat saying, well, it makes sense if the Suns would have wanted to trade him if he didn't want to sign the extension. By all accounts, he wanted to sign the extension. Like, Kevin Durant has been on record and off the record, I have heard from sources. He wanted to retire here. He wanted to stay here. Obviously, this season is not what anyone wanted for him, but Kevin Durant was not the one who put himself in trade rumors right before the deadline. This is probably part of the reason, maybe in the back of the front office's minds, why they didn't sign him to a one-year extension last year to leave themselves this wiggle room in case things went south this season. But if things had gone well, both sides wanted to sign a 2-year extension. And if you do trade Kevin Durant, I'm pretty sure he will still be eligible for that extension with his new team. So he does have some leverage a little bit in terms of if a team trades for me this summer, I'm not going to go somewhere where I'm not willing to sign an extension, and therefore I will become an expiring. So maybe don't give up all your assets for me. So the Suns are going to have to deal with that hurdle if they do, in fact, decide to trade him this summer. But I do appreciate the fact that he wanted to be here. He wants to right the ship. But I also understand the Suns, like, if this is not working, Kevin Durant is kind of your only avenue to reset.
I understand the avenue of trading Kevin Durant, but I think the most telling thing to me is that, like you said, he wanted to retire here. Mm-hmm. He wanted to end his career here. And the question was, do you want to end your career with the Phoenix Suns? And it was not even consideration. I want to end it on my own terms. And I agree with him, and I support him, and I think every athlete, especially great generational top athletes of all time, should walk away whenever and wherever they want to walk away. I just wish that was here. Yeah. And it could have been here. And it should have been here. And I want that to be extremely clear. Kevin Durant absolutely should have retired.
They really fucked that up with the...
No question about it. You got that greatness in your door. You should have moved mountains to keep them. And instead, you screwed it up. And Psycho Blue dropped a $10 super chat saying, Basketball Cthulhu wants to know if KD has a no-trade clause to be able to veto trades like that. If you're burning bridges, might as well torch it with a cosmic flame. He doesn't have a literal no-trade clause, but he has, like, a figurative no-trade clause, like you mentioned, Joe, with the extension. Yeah. Why would the Warriors want to give up all these assets for him if he doesn't want to extend? It's the same thing that Jimmy Butler went through, where Jimmy Butler could basically force his way wherever he wanted to go, because no team was trading for Jimmy Butler, even unless Jimmy Butler really wanted to sign him.
His name is Orlando,
so
bro.
that had to be communicated beforehand.
Yeah. For me, it's still not a guaranteed thing that he's just not coming back. And I just want to.
I hope you're right.
I just want to make sure we keep that part in the balance of the discourse.
Yeah.
Because he's never said, "I want out after this season. I'm gone," and there's nothing to talk about.
It just feels inevitable. And it might not be, but it feels like it.
It also felt inevitable that the trade was never going to get pushed across the line to get him in the first place, too.
That's fair.
So I'm just, like, I'm not trying to play devil's advocate and look at both sides of things. I'm just saying, like, the reality of it is that we just generally don't know.
I think the Luka Doncic trade taught us that anything
and that's
possible.
That's another one, yeah.
But I will say, reading the tea leaves, it does feel like he's gone. Like, barring some drastic last-minute turnaround that I think most of us agree is not coming, for the Suns going on some crazy win streak and making the playoffs and making some type of run, I just don't see a situation where this front office looks at the situation, especially after reporters are dangling him at the trade deadline, and says, okay, we can do this, we can find a way out of this with KD and Book. I feel like it's kind of inevitable. And as much as I don't think the Suns wanted that, and I don't think KD wanted that, I think over these next few weeks they're kind of going to be making their peace with that, especially if the losses continue to stack up. But again, I see people saying Devin Booker's going to be traded. No. Devin Booker's not going to be traded, guys. I can say that for a fact.
I had a question for y'all. Just while we're on the topic, is there no, like, front office ploy that y'all feel can be presented to Durant to make him want to stay around? Like, is there
I'm sure there is. But at the same time, you had James Jones saying that they didn't feel like the front office needed to talk with Kevin Durant and clear things up. I don't know if the way that this front office has operated, if they are the correct group of people to save this. And quite frankly, I don't know if they want to save this. If they've already explored trading him, the season's turned out how it's turned out, and you don't have many paths forward. I just feel like they're going to spend the next 2 months before the offseason, plus the playoff time, when they're going to be sitting on their couch watching every other team play well. I don't see them wanting to.
I'm doing the Lakers postseason.
And I'm sure there's always a path. But it doesn't seem realistic to me right now.
Oh my God.
And I don't even know if that's their interest. Like, again, I think Kevin Durant's talked about this. We played the clip a few weeks back. Like, he's talked about how all the focus is on Kevin Durant and his happiness and whether he still wants to be here. And in reality, it's more so, do the front office still want him here? Because they were the ones that were involving him in trade talks. They're the ones that are probably, if you look at the end of the season and they miss the play-in, or they go home in 1 or 2 games in the play-in, they're going to look at this and be like, we can't run it back with this same configuration. We got to trade something up. We got to switch something up. KD's the most sensible piece at that point because he's older than Book. He hasn't been the face of your franchise for a decade. And Beal with the no trade clause and the salary, like, it kind of is what it is there. So he, by default, is the one major piece you look at.
I guess maybe that's the dynamic of it that I still just have a spotlight on with it all, and that's the Bradley Beal no trade clause scenario.
Yeah.
Because naturally that opens up an avenue for receiving talent and receiving money back with that talent. That is obviously something that can offset feeling like you have to move off of Durant. I'm just looking. That's just the perspective that I'm looking at it from. If they have a choice in one or the other, maybe someone else that comes into the front office group has a play that they just haven't had the vision to execute yet.
I mean, we'll see. Anything is possible. Everything is on the table because it took a lot to get to this spot, right? And that's exactly what we're going to go through. We're going to break it all down. Got a couple super chats. We're going to hit a break. Then we're going to dive into the three massive trades that led the Phoenix Suns to where they are right now. First super chat.
D-Ball Cthulhu is concerned about how we're talking about
my
this.
fault.
He's been the same. He's competing every night. So
says, love how our best player gets the blame. Hashtag FU Beal.
It is unfair that KD gets saddled with a lot of the things he gets saddled with because by all accounts he has been there for his teammates. Even after being dangled, like everyone that I've talked to on the Suns has said he's been a professional, he's been the same, he's competing every night. So yeah, it is unfortunate.
I think he's also brought into multiple roles with this team too. Starting off with Monty Williams, everybody was complaining about why he wasn't getting the ball almost every possession, he was standing in the corner. He had to, on multiple accounts, go out and explain why it makes sense for him to not just buy time to rest on the court, but also have his dynamic and gravity and people not wanting to leave him create space for others. Like, there's just so many accounts of him buying in and speaking it and showing it.
Yeah, absolutely. We got another $5 super chat from Psycho Blue. B-Ball Cthulhu is concerned about how we're talking like this front office is going to be retained in full after this season, especially with JJ's expiring deal. That's a fair point. I reported this a few weeks back that James Jones is not on the hot seat. They're not going to fire James Jones. His contract does expire this summer, so it's going to be interesting to see what they do with that. Do they keep him in that role? Do they move him into more of an advisory, different executive role? Do they bring in a different GM? All of these are things we're going to be keeping an eye on, but as of right now, no change is coming on the front office front.
And I think there should be, and another guy does too. If you're missing Espo, you can watch and listen to his Southwest bias talking about a major change that needs to be made, emphasizing on James Jones. That is up on PHNX Sports. Right now, as soon as this episode ends, you got another 15 to 20 minutes of Suns talk, courtesy of Espo, that you can check out. So many of you in here on a Wednesday afternoon. It is great to see all electric from head to toe with Mando. That gives me that look. You're just shaking your head. He's upset with me. If you don't know, Owen is our reporter host for our Phoenix Rising podcast, and I'll be honest, he doesn't stink. Okay, he smells very nice. He does. I was just reading an ad. Okay. Let's dive into chronologically the three massive trades that have shaped this Phoenix Suns franchise and their future outlook. We talked a lot about the current situation with Kevin Durant. Well, let's talk about how they got Kevin Durant, because this discourse has been reignited with some Suns media members, just bringing it back up again. And this was the deal that landed KD in Phoenix. Suns receiving Kevin Durant and old friend TJ Warren. Nets receiving, of course you know this, Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson, 4 of the Suns' first-round picks, a first-round pick swap, the Bucks 28 and 29 seconds, and Juan Pablo Vellet, we all know that. Bucks received Jay Crowder, Pacers received Jordan Nwora, George Hill, Serge Ibaka, a bunch of picks. But we all know the main meat of this, Gerald, Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson, and a bunch of first-round picks and a pick swap. If I could go back in time, I would do this deal 10 times out of 10. Do you stand 10 toes down with me, Gerald?
I think so. And look, hindsight is 20/20, so you're looking at the picks that you gave up, and it is a lot. Like, it's a considerable amount of draft capital, and because the Suns have only made it to the second round, it's easy to look back and say now that, oh, this was a mistake, or oh, they gave up too much. And at the time, to be fair, there were people that were saying that. I think a lot of the people that were saying it at the time were coming from a place of emotion more than logic in terms of the Twins. But I will say this, like, a lot of focus is always on teams that are accumulating draft capital, that are building up these picks, that are, making these moves for the future. And I think it's a lot. We need to acknowledge that when it comes to trades like this, it is a lot easier to praise the teams that are building towards potential and have all these different shots that they can take at greatness versus the team that actually takes the tangible one that is right there. And yeah, it didn't work out. Yeah, they haven't won a championship since they traded for Kevin Durant. But I can almost promise you the 4 picks that they gave up in a deal for Kevin Durant are not going to be good as Kevin Durant is. And you can say, like, yeah, but you get more cracks at the apple. And I totally understand that. But when you have a player like Devin Booker who is ascending, when you have a team that everyone equates that team when they made the trade for Kevin Durant with the finals team. And in reality, that was what was left of a team that had won 64 games and gotten demolished by 30 in the second round against Luka. That the next year didn't have enough pieces around KD and Book, but got demolished again by 30 in the second round to lose in that playoff series. Like, they needed to make a move. They could not have just sat with it. And I was one of the people at the time that was saying, look, when the 5-man lineup of Chris Paul, Devin Booker, Cam Johnson, Mikal Bridges, and DeAndre Ayton is out there, they have a really good net rating. They have a really good record. People forget that Cam Johnson couldn't stay healthy that season, that Devin Booker went down and Mikal Bridges and DeAndre Ayton really struggled to step up during that stretch. And I'm not saying that the front office has to operate based on what public opinion is or what fan support dictates they say, but we also can't just ignore that this was no longer the same finals core. Like, Chris Paul was on the decline. Jay Crowder wasn't even suiting up for the team at the time.
The chemistry and all the people who look back at the dancing videos and how fun it all was.
Right.
Hey, that quietly wasn't really going on anymore.
No, the vibes were not good that season at that point in time.
They weren't. And Steven, like, obviously you watched all of this, not from within the storm, like we did. And I think that people just like to go back, and people have mentioned flexibility and the end results and the moves that happened after KD. I think in a vacuum, if your franchise can land Kevin Durant, you do what it takes to get him.
Absolutely. There's no question about it. You do that trade, and you do it again, and you do it again. Mikal Bridges, for as lauded as he is from Suns fans and Suns media members, how much growth has he shown in terms of becoming a primary piece over the last 2.5 seasons?
A lot less than people who watch him every day expected him to.
And to that point, I feel like some of it is not warranted, and I very much appreciate the player that he is now. You're not going to win the championship if he's one of your top 2 players, if you have to rely on him to consistently create advantages. The opportunity that him getting traded to Brooklyn was just that. He had a lot of peaks, especially early on after the trade happened, but then the full season that came following that came with some valleys that left people kind of perplexed at times in terms of gauging what his true potential as an offensive engine was. Can he play complementary basketball as well as any other wing in the NBA? Yes. But can he dictate to opponents and be the focal point of an offense with the defense set to take him away? That's not his strength. That's why I feel like he's best suited for his role with the New York Knicks right now. On some nights, he could be a 4th option. And if he's your 4th option, and he's going up against the 4th or 5th best defender on the court, now he's in a perfect position to have the impact that he needs. And the other big thing is for him on the playoff stage, past the stuff that comes in the regular season, on the playoff stage, when your team needs it from role players, he's going to bring that for you. I feel like that's one of the looming questions with the Knicks now. It's clear they have Jalen Brunson, they have Cat, but they need Mikal to be at a certain level. And that's the same thing that Devin Booker and Chris Paul and DeAndre Ayton were looking for from him in multiple moments over the years that they were in the playoffs together. He had a couple moments where he did it, but it feels like he left more to be desired, and that really hasn't changed that much. To Gerald's point with Cam Johnson, his impact never reached the point at which you hope for it to in the playoffs in particular after the 2021 finals run. And that's another piece that got exposed in that Mavericks series. You have to have people, multiple options to try to guard Luka Doncic. at least got him the scheme because they're not going to take him away. They weren't able to do that.
Yeah. You traded, and listen, I'm not trying to slander Mikal and Cam.
Not even a little bit.
I love them on this team. I'm rooting for them. They're some of my favorite Phoenix Suns players of all time.
Mm-hmm.
You traded two good, but two role players, two guys that most likely will not sniff an all-star game in their career.
Mm-hmm.
Again, not in a disrespectful way, just realistically. And a lot of future picks, which for this ownership, and I got some words to say about the ownership at the end of this, but you were never going to just rely on drafting 5, 6, 7 years
right now,
out.
bro.
And to be honest with you, if the Suns if they stayed course and they didn't do anything, and Mikal and Cam continued on the trajectory that they went down, DA continued on the trajectory that he's gone down, and you had your picks for 26, 27, 28, 29, right? Everybody would be begging you to do something.
Mm-hmm.
Begging.
Right.
The teams that don't do something and just kind of let it go by the wayside get the same amount of crap that the teams that go all in and it doesn't work. Like, you're pretending or acting like, hey, if we didn't make this move, everything would be okay. The reality is this front office has shown that they can't build a cohesive team.
How many
So
holes
why
in
do
this
you think they
club?
can just do that with different
Is it really
pieces
just me
and
and
win
you,
a
my
championship?
love?